Welcome to the Corporate Detox podcast. I'm your host, Amanda McWhorter. I'm a corporate dropout, recovering people pleaser and perfectionist turned burnout recovery coach. If you are sick of the corporate roller coaster ride and ready to step into a life you love, this is the podcast for you. Hey there, welcome back to the Corporate Detox podcast. This episode starts season 3, and I am so very grateful to have the honor of presenting this podcast to you for 3 seasons. And I have to tell you, I really feel like 2024 and season 3 are just going to be absolutely glorious. What I really hope that happens in season 3 is that we are able to reach more listeners and bring more hope to people that are going through their own corporate detox journey. So what is corporate detox, right? Corporate detox means something different to everyone. For myself, corporate detox really meant hitting burnout, not knowing it, and making the decision to leave an 18-year-long career where I just felt like things really weren't aligned. I am so excited to bring you today's guest. Her name is Katrina McGhee, and Katrina is a career break and sabbatical coach. She's a speaker and an author of the bestselling Taking a Career Break for Dummies. With her wealth of knowledge and experience, Katrina helps mid-career professionals design transformative life breaks that lead to happiness, personal growth, and lasting change. Katrina developed the Break Blueprint, a guiding framework that she has used to help more than 70 clients rejuvenate their lives by taking a break to travel the world, launch a business, write a novel, change careers, and more. Katrina's work was inspired by her own 20-month career break, where she saved $40,000 in just 18 months to quit her corporate job to travel the world. As an avid world traveler and digital nomad, her expertise on career breaks and travel has been featured in prestigious outlets such as Forbes, Smarter Travel, Thrive Global, and Yahoo. Katrina, we are so happy to have you on the podcast today. Okay, Katrina. So I'm going to have you jump in, and I would love for you to share your corporate detox story. I know that I was super stoked when we chatted last week. So I think it's going to be great for our listeners.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Okay. So my corporate detox story actually has 2 parts, 2 acts, if you will. The first act came about 8 months. It began 8 months after I finished getting my MBA. So I had a first career as an actuary, 8 years living in Atlanta, working in the healthcare industry, generally, achieving a fair amount of success, but feeling that wasn't my thing and that wasn't where I wanted to end up. So I went back to business school to get my degree, and I hoped to find my dream job through that experience. But alas, that did not happen. I ended up changing careers into market research. I did land a really good job even before I finished business school. But I began to realize about 8 months into that new career that something was feeling not great. And in fact, the sort of discomfort and the feelings of burnout, the feelings of misalignment that I had been feeling in my first career were intensified in this second career. And that was a really hard pill to swallow because I had just invested, tens of thousands of dollars to get my degree. And I really believed it was the job that was wrong, but really I needed a break. I needed to be living a completely different life that was built on a foundation of what I wanted for myself instead of what I thought I should have to be successful and responsible. And so I hired a life coach to get some answers because I felt very stuck. I felt very sad. And I just felt really trapped in the life I had. It was like the success I had achieved in some ways had become like a prison of my own making. So I got a life coach and I had this huge epiphany 6 months into working with her with a lot of unpacking and unlearning things that I just wanted to travel the world for a year. And that felt so impossible, so scary. I was in my early 30s at the time. I did not have any real experience traveling abroad by myself. I had studied in business school for a semester in Spain, but I was with a group of people. I didn't have any reason to believe I should be doing this. And I had $1,500 in my bank account and a lot of debt from business school and a townhouse I rented out back in Atlanta that was underwater. So all metrics on the scorecard would indicate this is a terrible idea. You are going to mess up your life. But it was true for me that I really just wanted to live a life that felt good. I really wanted to feel excited about the life that I had. And I wanted to just be, I wanted to be the pilot. I wanted to be the driver. I wanted to get out of the passenger seat and kind of, just passively give suggestions on the navigation system. I wanted to be the one deciding where I was going. And so I made a plan and I saved up $40,000 in 18 months. I gave my job 8 months notice and I quit to take a break and travel the world. And I decided to keep going until I ran out of money, which lasted me 20 months. So I took a 20-month break and it was life-changing. It was incredible. And then when I came back to, air quotes, real life at the end of my break, I had to figure out what was going to come next for me. And I decided that I really wanted to be debt-free so that I could have every opportunity in the world available to me beyond that point. I wanted my financial freedom. And so I decided to go back to corporate and pay off all my student loans as fast as I possibly could. And I landed 5 job offers in just 5 weeks after taking a 20-month break in a brand new career. I had only been in for 3 years when I left it. And that was a moment, a very solidifying moment for me that let me know breaks are not only good for your soul and your spirit, but they can be good for your career. They can be good for your life. And they can create more success. And so I was like, wow, put that one away for a rainy day. I feel like that's going to come back up. And of course it did, because that's what I do now. But that was sort of the first arc of my corporate detox story. That was, taking a break, kind of climbing out of the matrix, living my life, learning a lot, and then consciously deciding to go back into the matrix for, another 2 to 3 years to pay off all my debt, which I did do in less than 2 years, and get certified as a life coach to then, kind of create my own thing on the side and eventually go into full time. So that was sort of like part number one. That was a really fun part. And then of course, part number two is that I finally ripped off the Band-Aid and went full time into my business after being debt free and after building some clients and some experience. And so I'm in my 3rd career. I made it up. I'm a career break and sabbatical coach, and I freaking love it.
I love it. So I think my first exposure to a sabbatical, like people talking about a sabbatical, because I'm gonna be honest, like I have an HR background. We didn't give sabbaticals, right? Like no one talked about it. Career breaks were, if we were hiring, that was kind of like a red flag, right? That's one of the things that I loved about your book, is saying like, this isn't 2013. Like this is, I want to say normal, but like more people are doing it now.
Yeah.
And there's a way to talk about it too. And I know I'm jumping ahead, but so the first, I listened to a book, Sabbatical.
Oh, yeah.
And it was amazing. And that's why I would like, when we connected, I'm like, this is genius, because so many people want a break, but they're afraid to take it, right? And they don't know how to work, like plan for it, right? And that's exactly what you do.
Yeah, 100%. I just got off a consult like 30 minutes ago, and it's like, it's all about permission and fear, right? It's like,
Yeah.
she knows she wants one. She knows that she needs one, but there's so much fear holding her back from just owning that it's okay and deciding that she's going to do it, even though she even has access to the money to pay for it. But it's like, oh, is that wasteful? Will I regret it? Will I run out of money? Like all the fears.
Yeah. So, I talk to a lot of people that don't intentionally start out as taking a break, but they're like pushed to the edge, whether it's burnout or just like toxic company culture. Like they're just like pushed to the edge. And like when they go right over the edge, it's like, I'm just gonna quit this, but I don't know what the plan is. And I think that looking back with some of the folks that I've talked to, right? Like not really having a plan for that time off versus having like the intention of going in and like knowing you're going to come out with something is just like 2 different worlds too. So do you ever work with people that are like in that, like they've already quit and
Yeah,
they still
absolutely.
want
Yeah.
some time off?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say about 30 to 40% of my clients find me when they're on a break. So
Got it.
similar to what you said, right? They've either been pushed to the brink or they just made a snap decision, or sometimes their employer gave them, an offer for severance and they decided to take it. So it becomes that situation where they're on it, they didn't plan for it, and they're excited to be on it, maybe a little nervous, but also looking forward and saying, I don't know what I do next. I don't know where I go from here.
Yes. Yes. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Mhm.
So talk about like when you were on that first break, like the intentional break, what were definitely like the perks, right? Or the blessings that you didn't expect?
Ooh, yeah. So many. Well, okay. So if we're just going there and we're getting like real and we're being deep on this, one of the blessings, which was the biggest blessing, is that it saved my life. So, I've talked about this in other places before, but my brother was my favorite person in the whole world, and he unexpectedly passed away a week before my career break started. And I had been planning this break for 2 years at that point, and I was so excited. And so I was sitting at the precipice of the most exciting, sort of like freeing adult experience I was having as an adult in my whole lifetime, um, juxtaposed with like the singular, most awful, terrible event of my whole life. And holding space for that was really hard. But if I wasn't facing a break, I genuinely don't know what kind of a life I would have led beyond that point, because the break gave me $40,000 in my bank account. It was already there waiting for me. I had already given my notice. I was leaving on great terms. I didn't have to go back to a job that felt bad, that like took something from me to show up. I was facing this infinite freedom, and I had spent time creating a plan, and it wasn't prescriptive. It wasn't an itinerary, but it was a real clear understanding of what it is I really want and need to get from this experience to feel like it was a success. And also very grounding in having these focal points of what to focus on. What am I actually investing in? And a clarity and an understanding of why this break was so impactful. And so having all of that standing in this really terrible moment was like the biggest gift I could have received at that time. And it saved my life, right? I was able to find some joy. I was able to process some grief. I was able to become a better version of myself because of this break. And then, on slightly more, rel relatively more superficial ways, the break was amazing because I traveled the world by myself, and I learned I could do that, and I had amazing experiences. And one of the things I took away from that, especially in regards to travel, is that the world is generally a kinder place than I had been taught and, kind of spoon-fed as a woman. Uh, Growing up in this, like in this current world and just
Yeah.
feeling like the world is against you, it's dangerous. That was a really big sort of benefit and kind of life lesson I got from my break. And honestly, I think one of the other big ones was just being like, I did that. Like I created a whole entire experience that I had no evidence was possible. I just put one foot in front of the other and stayed very, very, very clear and connected to my why, to my purpose. And I got there. And I got there and it was great. And it doesn't mean anything that I was scared. Actually, scared means that like I was blazing some new paths and taking some chances in my life. And I felt so alive. And so that was really pivotal in planting a seed for me to realize those sensations of being scared sighted are not actually a sign that you're going in the wrong direction. They're a sign that you're going in the right direction.
Mhm. I'm glad we went deep right out of the gate. So thank you for that. Ugh, I know that there's someone listening to this today that knows that they need a break. Maybe they've gone through some really tough times, right? And they feel like that career right now is holding them back. What would you say to them?
You have to be a steward of your one precious life. If you're waiting for permission, if you're waiting until it feels right, easy, until the door is open, It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for you. You have to be willing to go kick the door down and see what's on the other side. And you have to take responsibility for that, right? Even when life is handing you some BS and it's like, could you just stop already? You have to find the one place that you have a little power to make that change. You have to take care of yourself. No one else is going to take exquisite care of you. So you can't outsource that to other people. And you can't put yourself at the back of the line and think that if you just wait your turn in your own life, that your time is going to come, because it's never going to come. There's always going to be 25 things, people, places in front of you and your own needs.
Mm. Thank you for that. Truly. So let's talk about the book. So at what point did you decide, I'm going to take all of these experiences, right, and package it into the book? First of all, let's talk about the book, because I said the title in the intro, but I really want to hear from you. Like, how did you birth this? Because I was just mind blown, and I've only kind of like skimmed through sections, and I was really trying to get to like really good things, because I was just so amazed that all of this goodness is packaged up for someone that they can just like click and order on Amazon, and it will be at their house in a day or two. Right?
Yeah. It's a miracle.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Whew, the process. So I actually didn't set out to write this book. The publisher of the For Dummies series, so Wiley and Sons Publishing, reached out to me, and they had in their mind that they wanted to write a book about taking a break, but they didn't know exactly who they wanted to write it. They'd done some online research to try to find, a writer, an author, a potential author, and landed on me being their first choice. And so they asked me if I wanted to write the book. And I was terrified. I was not a previous author. I was not even what I would consider a writer. I really didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew it was a really amazing opportunity that felt very special. And so similar to my break, I didn't know how I was going to do it. It was doing something I have never done before, that I haven't seen personally a lot of people do, right? I don't have a lot of author friends, especially like traditionally published author friends. And so it was like, I have to say yes to this big, scary thing, not knowing how I get to the end, just trusting I will be resourceful enough to figure it out one step at a time. And that is what I did. So we talked back and forth. I asked a lot of questions, kind of got to understand what it would entail, what the process was. And then I started writing, and I really leaned into my actuarial background with spreadsheets. I had like a tracker where I was tracking how much I was writing relative to the goal as far as the chapters went, and keeping track of all the files. But I really just tried to create some type of process. Sadly, writing is not structured well. Like, it's not a process you can just turn on a tab. And so there was a crap ton of struggle in the writing experience. It took me 9 months of writing, and there were times where it didn't feel so hard. It never felt easy, but there were times where it didn't feel so hard. And then there were lots of times where it felt agonizing, and I questioned my ability. I questioned my sanity. I wondered, like, do I get out of this? Like, is there a way to get out of this? Because I don't know that I can do this. But having the accountability of a publisher on the other end, legal obligations, financial obligations, like I would have to pay back my advance if I didn't finish the book. I just felt really supported in that experience in different ways and motivated to get to the end. And so I pushed myself to do it. And I swear it was like career break 5.0 in regards to that process of doing the best I can to enter uncharted waters, being uncertain, and doing a really hard thing to get to a really beautiful end result that is potentially life-changing. And so, the book, man, it poured out of me. The outline poured out of me pretty easily, because it's based on, my 6 years of experience, having coached over 70 breaks. I've seen so much on top of my own 2 breaks. I've coached so many. And so I had a lot of understanding. I had created a course, a program, a book outline years before, just on a whim. And so I had a lot of material to pull from, but when it came to actually writing, that was where I was entering a foreign territory.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so like total divine intervention, I think, on like someone reaches out to you and they're like, we want you to do this. Like, we're looking for someone. Like, how amazing is that?
So amazing. I know. And the thing is, if you're living your life by percentages and trying to make decisions on what you should do or how you should move based on the percentage or the statistics of what you think is going to happen, it's so irrelevant. You are unique. Everybody has their own experience. Nobody's experience is exactly like anyone else's. The statistical odds of that happening are so low. I think the odds of finding a publisher with an agent is something like 1%. So can you imagine what the percent of people would be
I
that like have a publisher find them? But it happened to me, right? So it's like,
yes.
all the more reason. It's the same with the break. It's like you want to run the stats and say, well, statistically, I might be without a job for 4 months and that would be scary. And like, what if, and I can't do it because like the stats. And it's like, you are special. You are unique if you are putting your head down and really honoring what is true for you and being brave and living your life and chasing your dreams rather than running away from your fears. You're going to have these experiences that are one of a kind, and the stats don't really matter. And I say
Yeah.
that as an actuary, as a former
Yes.
actuary, I'm saying
Right.
sometimes the stats don't matter.
Um, my eyes are watering because I feel like I'm so emotional talking to you about this because I was not expecting any of this today. I'll tell you. So, first of all, when I decided to leave the corporate world, 18-year career, I never thought I was going to leave there. Like, I thought I was going to retire from that company. I was recruiting people to work for them. Like, I was the last person that people thought were going to leave at the moment, right? Like, it didn't line up. And when I made that decision, I truly felt like fully supported by God, the universe, however you relate to that. Like, that is truly how I felt. And that has been this 3-year journey for me. Like, things happen that I'm like, this is like nothing like what you, and I hope that there's like something like that in my future too, right? But it just goes to prove that when you step out in faith and make that, you bet on yourself essentially, right? And you keep moving forward, like things happen that would have never happened before, just living the same life that everybody else is living.
100%. And it's
Oh,
way more fun. Life would be
yes.
so boring if we had to do all of the things that we think we have to do to get the
Yeah.
results that we want, right? Like that would be such a killer, like such a buzzkill to have to do it in a very like hard, grindy, hustly, step by step, recreating somebody else's version of success over and over again. Like if that was the only way to get to our best life, that would really suck. But the cool thing is that there's so much magic. We have to be brave enough to step into the field though, right? To put ourselves in that flow, to find it, to connect with it, and to call in amazing opportunities. And it's not all sunshine and roses, but man, oh man, life has given me things I've never imagined because I was willing to step outside my comfort zone and willing to say yes to myself.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about the book a little bit. One of the things that I loved about the book was reading the different types of breaks. Can you break that down for our listeners? So, I'm sure that some folks that are listening are like, who takes a break? And how do we even go about that? But like you outlined different types of breaks that just totally blew my mind because I didn't even think of all of those when you talk about a career break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's many ways to do it, right? And within that, there are many different lengths that you can have. So, I mean, there are multiple versions of a break, but I think some of the like more common ones or accessible ones, obviously there's a sabbatical. So some companies will have a formal sabbatical process. A sabbatical technically is when you are taking a company benefit to take a leave of absence, usually for personal development or personal reasons, and come back to your same company, oftentimes in the same role, not always. And so those are usually like 1 to 3 months, right? Typically what you see with company as at a benefit. So I would encourage you to check your employee manual and know, right? Is that a benefit that you have? Because if you do and you want a break, it's a much easier path to taking a break and also coming back to your same job if you like your job or you like your company and you want to come back. Career breaks are, making that severance, that leaving by choice, sometimes not leaving by choice, but then deciding that you're going to wait before you try to find your next thing. But essentially career breaks are, severing your ties with your current employer and becoming a free agent in life and taking time off. So that can be, that could be 1 month if you wanted it to be. Typically, I see it between 6 to 12 months. I coach people that are doing at least a 2-month break just because you need a lot of time to really decompress and then to start exploring yourself and what you want to do next and all of those things. But there are abbreviated breaks out there. Outside of that, right, there are different kinds of leaves of absence that you can take if you, A, can't afford to leave your job, B, if you want to stay with your current company, or C, if you're not sure that you actually need an extensive break, but you would like some time off. So I would encourage you to think about what you want from your break. But if you have, like, for example, a health issue, whether it's mental health, physical health, you could potentially take an unpaid leave of absence. Sometimes you could get paid, but there's FMLA that you could look into with the Family Medical Leave Act, and other options like that. But sometimes you can negotiate just a short leave of absence with your job directly for something that you feel like you need. So you could try to negotiate like a 3-week leave if that's what you felt like you needed. So those are a few that are like really common, or at least accessible for most people that would probably be listening to this podcast.
Yeah, thank you for that. When it comes to the break, right? Like, I feel like we live in this world where people are like, but you quit, right? And I always say, like, it's not quitting. Like, it's absolutely not quitting. Like, let's get rid of that. How do you work with your clients and getting them kind of like prepped on like how to talk through what a career break is to others, or even to future employers when they decide to re-enter the workforce?
Yeah, so good. So I have a system for that. But before I say that, I wanna address what you just said because I think it's so good, right? People having that stigma attached to the word quit. First of all, what is quitting? Quitting is ending one thing and starting another. Like what even is quitting, right? Because something is beginning when you're ending something else. That's just the nature of like how it works. But number two is, if you imagine a person on a hamster wheel in their suit, like their corporate suit, whatever that is. It's not really a suit these days, but like whatever, in their little corporate uniform, running on the hamster wheel, grinding it out. And then you see somebody next to them that's a different kind of hamster that's like happy and like eating like hamster food and like grazing in flowers and playing with like hamster balls and things and chasing them across the floor. Who's living their best life, right?
Right.
I like to frame it as a break is not about like I couldn't hack it, I'm quitting
Mhm.
my work. I like to frame it as I'm hitting pause and I'm going to live. Capital LIVE, live. And you think about those hamsters. One of those hamsters is living and the other one is just existing. And I think a lot of times in our corporate lives, what is being asked of us is beyond on top of our personal responsibilities and always being on and always being connected. And I think a lot of us are just existing and we're trying to find pockets of time to live, but it's nearly impossible. And I think a break is about actually putting that hamster wheel aside, stepping down and deciding for a period in time, you're just going to focus full on living. So that's the reframe I like to offer when I talk about it, right? And how I like to frame it for people, because I think so many people think of it exactly the way that you framed it up. And, the process for it is really simple. If you get clear on your purpose statement and you get clear on the pillars, I call them themes of your break. And I recommend 3 to 4 if your break is going to be at least 3 months long. If you're clear on what success means to you, which is that purpose statement, what you're really going for, and those 4 pillars, which are the ways that you're going to achieve success, right? So maybe you're going to focus on connection, you're going to focus on restoration, you're going to focus on exploration, and maybe you're going to focus on, kind of reinventing your lifestyle and like thinking about what comes next. Maybe those are your 4 pillars of what you're going to really focus on and invest in during your break. It makes it so much easier to talk to people. So I'm going to give you an example. Okay. You ready for this, Amanda?
Ready.
Okay. So there's 2 ways somebody could roll up to talk about their break. This could be giving their notice. This could be telling people what they're planning to do, or this could be when they're on their break. And so the first way is what I typically see before I work with someone. And it's like, so I'm going to take a break. Yeah. It's going to be, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm just feeling, I'm really tired. And I need this experience to just kind of hit pause. I don't really actually know what I'm going to do with it. I might read some, I might take some walks. I don't know. I'm just kind of figuring it out, but I don't know. I'm just kind of like on a break and we'll see what happens, right? The energy behind that is like, please don't ask me too many questions. I
Mm-hmm.
have no idea what I'm doing. I'm kind of embarrassed. I hope you're not judging me. I'm kind of judging myself, and this is really uncomfortable to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Version number 2. Let's say you've done your purpose statement. Let's say you've done your themes, and somebody asks you, like, what do you got over there? Like, I heard you're thinking about taking a break or taking a break. Yes, I am. I'm actually really excited to take this time to expand myself and my life. I'm looking to expand my career. I'm looking to expand what I see in myself personally. And within that, I'm going to focus on some deep healing restoration. I'm so
Mm.
excited for that. I'm thinking about exploring some meditation. I'm having a couple travel adventures where I'm going to really lean into exploration and just kind of seeing what's out there. And then I'm going to focus on connecting, like hanging out with friends and family and just really kind of filling my own cup in ways I haven't in a long time, maybe even finding some new hobbies. And at the end of it all, I'm excited to come back and really figure out what I want for this next chapter of my life and my career, and to just pour, that future me into whatever is going to come next, but to do it in a bigger way. Like,
Mic drop. I'm telling you,
right?
so much better
So much better. And to the point, Amanda,
and
you
more
are in HR,
confident.
yes, more confident, more clear. And even though I don't know exactly all the things I'm going to do, I know why I'm doing it. And I know what the focus is. I know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm heading towards, and I know what direction I'm moving in. And you as an HR person would know, right? If you're interviewing someone who has processed and experienced their break, if they can tell you what they got from it, if they can articulate to you the benefit so that you can see that it was life-changing and life-improving for them, it's so much more compelling. And the same thing goes at the beginning when you're giving your notice, right? Focusing on the pillars and focusing on your purpose statement when you tell your boss, listen, I've really, if this is true, you don't have to like sugarcoat it if it's not, right? But you could say, I've really enjoyed being a part of this team. I've learned a lot, but I'm really feeling that this season of my life needs to be about me. And I'm realizing if I don't take this time now, I don't know that I ever will. And I just feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
meant for so much more. And I really want to understand who that more is. And I want to tap into that bigger version of me. And quite honestly, I'm really burned out. And I think it starts with some deep rest. And I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited for some travels. But essentially, this is a chance for me to really kind of reclaim that part of me that I feel like I lost in the grind. And I'm just really
Yes.
excited for that. Right?
Yes. Yeah. And I'll tell you from being on both sides of this conversation, right? If someone would come to me and they were that first person who seemed a little unsure, not as confident in their decision, I would really be like trying to talk them out of it. Seriously, like I
Yeah.
would totally, as an
Yeah.
HR professional at that time, I would have tried to talk them out of it. The second person, I would have known there's nothing I can say that is
Yeah.
going to talk them out of it. And I would be cheering them on in that decision.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, as the person giving, hey, like this isn't for me in this season of life, it's amazing how you feel that pressure when you're making that decision, right? Like I remember I had so many leaders in the company that I work for come to me and say, are you sure you want to do this? Thanks for giving us the 3 weeks notice, but are you really sure you want to do this? Or even a couple months after I left, are you ready to come back? Like, and
Yeah.
it used to make me really mad, but now looking at it, I'm like, that's why this conversation right here, I did not have an outline or any thought process. I just said, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but it's not gonna be this. Like that was as good as it got in those
Yeah.
conversations, right?
Yeah.
So, oh, the whole feeling around it is just totally different.
It's your energy. Like I tell people this all the time. Breaks are still, somewhat unconventional. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's changing, but they're still unconventional. People don't know what to think about them. So they
Yeah.
look to you for that information. And so that fear of judgment that you're dreading or, kind of it's internal. It's largely internal. It's worrying about them reflecting back to you your uncertainty or your doubt. But if you do the work to get clear for yourself on what this break is about, what is at stake if you don't take a break, right? That's like that purpose. And then also like what it is you do know, like those pillars. you can communicate with an energy that speaks to clarity and confidence, and it helps you feel more courageous. And it's also like the energy you're giving is, hey, I am at peace with this decision. And somebody can energetically receive that and say, okay, you're at peace with this decision. How can I support you? Or I'm
Yeah.
excited for you, or tell me more about that. Right.
Yes.
Versus, to your point, let me try to save you from yourself. Because
Mm-hmm.
clearly, I don't think this is what you think it's going to be. Right.
Yes.
I don't think this is going to go the way that you think it is. And people think they're helping when they tell you that. They think they're helping. People are like, oh, they, pooped on my dreams. And it's like, well, maybe, or maybe they just are really worried about you and they weren't reading a confidence and an energy. And so they're worried that you're making a mistake because you think you're making a mistake.
Yes. Yeah. Oftentimes when I'm working with my clients and they're in, the height of their burnout and they've made that decision that they're leaving, there's like the shame factor around resigning, right? Around leaving that company, especially if there's not a plan. And I'll tell you that just being able to talk to you and read your book has given me this whole new perspective on how I will continue to coach my clients too through burnout. And I know that I touched on this when you and I talked last week, but I truly feel that things are shifting so much for the humans around us. And there are so many people that are going to be looking for career breaks, like looking for those solutions because they're clearly not finding it with their employer, right? So they're looking for that hope. And that's really what this podcast is all about. And divinely, I'm just meeting people like you that are helping to like patchwork this whole quilt together for people to see the hope of what's out there.
Oh, I love that. That gave me chills. That's so good, Amanda. I mean, I think that is a really amazing that's an amazing place to be in, because I think, to your point, that hope is powerful
Yes.
because you need a force, a very powerful force to counteract the doubt, right? The fear and the shame that you're talking about, those
Yeah.
sort of negative emotions. You need a powerful positive emotion to sort of bring that back in balance so that you can move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is your biggest piece of advice for our listeners?
Oh gosh, I know, right? Putting this into one, I'm going to say, at the end of the day, I talked about being the steward of your life and needing to really like take care of yourself because no one else is going to do that for you. I want to offer the best life I believe that you can live is a life spent chasing as many green flags as you can possibly chase down, because those green flags are breadcrumbs back to essential you, right? The magic you're here to give, the gifts you have to share, the strengths that you have. Like, the green flags are always leading you places that are allowing you to discover higher and more expansive versions of yourself and to experience bigger and brighter versions of life in general. And I think a lot of times people focus on avoiding red flags, and they construct a life that is almost exclusively spent trying to avoid negative outcomes, which leaves no space for dreaming of positive outcomes and actually taking action on them. And so I want to offer, when you're thinking about your life and you're thinking about choices, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like something is not aligned or not working, what is a green flag in your life? Something you really want, something you'd love to go after, and how can you get support and or set yourself up for success in taking one more step towards that green flag instead of deciding to avoid the red flags that come up in your mind when you think about your dreams?
Oh my gosh. Guys, listen to that. Like, this is not just about your career. Even though we're sitting here and our work revolves around, right, someone's career, this is for any area of your life. Any area. So we're recording this in January of 2024. And I'll be honest, like, I've had a really hard time coming into the new year because so many people are out there like New Year's, new goals, and resolutions, like all this stuff. And I just haven't been feeling that kind of like get up and go energy. And I want you to know that you can start anytime. This isn't something that you have to wait until 2025 for. This isn't something that you have to wait until the holiday. Like, it's the green flags, right? Follow the green flags. If you have been getting these nudges, these inclinations, and if you are listening to this, you already know that you like, if you've been getting these pushes, like it's time to start listening and acting. And that's why Katrina's here to help you navigate that, right? Help you plan it out. I'm not saying that planning is a bad thing, but stop waiting until next year, 10 years from now, when your kids are older. Like, just stop the craziness. Like, life is way, way too short. Way too short.
Amen and mic drop, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to like make that clip and just like play it as a pep talk. I'm gonna give it to my clients. I'm like, you need to hear Amanda say this, but it's so true. And it's easy to say it, right? Because we're living it, and it's not easy and pretty for us to be living it, but we're living it. And it's like, we're getting that reinforcement that life gets even better when you're really honoring yourself. But truly, truly, nothing is certain. I mean, my brother passed away at 30, and I'm so grateful to the version of me that did not wait to start living my life and really going for it big time, because that means that I don't have to let his death be like the catalyst to living my life, where it's like, oh, well, like I had to turn this really crappy thing into a good thing, but I needed that push to like realize I wasn't living my life. It's like, no, I was a person that was living my life. And what I have found is that if you are creating and pushing to live a bigger life, to expect more out of life, to like expect more out of yourself as far as how you take care of yourself and what you're capable of, then even when life hands you some really crappy lemons, it's like you're so grateful that you've done everything you can do up to that point to live the best life you can. And it gives you more resources and more capacity to deal with the lemons than you would have had if you were living some existing existence where you were just grinding it out, feeling like it all wasn't worthwhile. And then you have to deal with the BS and the things that come along with it and try to make it out. So, I mean, for so many reasons, please don't wait to like actually start living your life, even if it's just one little step that you take today.
And for the love of God, don't wait till retirement.
Please. Oh,
Seriously.
please don't.
Like, we all have the stories, right, of someone that waits till retirement and then they don't get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So,
And it's so many things. It could be your health, right? You could live 30 more years, but have like bad hips and knees and just, or have some like health issue that suddenly you have to carry around an oxygen tank. Like, I don't know, but in so many ways it can make it harder.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I'm so glad this is the first episode of season 3, because this is so good. I want to go back to something. Like, we're telling you, don't wait, right? But if you're in a season where you feel like, I want to hibernate, right? I'm too exhausted, I'm too overwhelmed, that is okay too. Like, sometimes that is following the green flag. Giving yourself the space to have the clarity to then do this is following the green flag. So
Totally. Yeah.
You do you, boo. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, just don't keep putting it off.
Don't keep putting it off. I mean, and literally baby steps are totally acceptable. There's this activity called the Wheel of Life, where you look at the different aspects of your life and you think about, what would I score it today? But then also, what is a 10? And one of the activities I love to do for myself and I do with my clients is, once you have that 10, it can feel so out of reach, especially if you're like at a 4, in some category. Like, let's say health, right? You're at like a 4, and a 10 is, you're working out and you're feeling really strong and you feel good in your body and you're drinking lots of water and you're hydrated and everything. It can feel like, how do I even start that? I don't want to go to the gym and start working out 5 days a week. It can be a baby step. Your step can literally be, I'm going to drink 1 glass of water every morning. And to help myself make sure I do that, I'm going to fill up the water the night before and put it on my nightstand so that I can drink it before I actually get out of bed. And it's just like that one step can make all the difference, because it can unlock momentum to carry you forward into the next step and then the next step after that.
Yes. Yes. I do. We do a process in my coaching. I use, it's called the vision integration method. And it's very much kind of like derived from the Wheel of Life. And it is like, if you're going to say yes to this, what are you going to say no to? And we're not trying to go, like you say, from like a 4 to a 10, right? Like, that's why people, goals and resolutions are out the window in the first 10 days of the year, because of that. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, that's so cool that you do that. And I agree. It's important to think about what you're saying no to. And I
Yeah.
love to tell my clients, in regards to a break as well, if you're saying no to a break that you need or really want, like, okay, great. But like, what are you risking on the other side, right?
Mhm.
Like, if you're saying yes to your job and yes to the income right now because that feels safe, what are you passing up? For me, it would have been a whole career I loved, helping literally hundreds of humans like create better lives and writing a book and being featured in Forbes and traveling around the world multiple times and being a digital nomad for 6 years. Like there's so much at stake if you are going to continue to play small.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so share where people can find you and talk about like if you have any offers or anything that you want to throw out there. Obviously the book is a great place, for people to be able to grab it, but I know that the one-on-one work is really truly where things really sink in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And so I do a program called Intermission, which is that one-on-one coaching. It's a 3-month program to help people have a really well-designed, thoughtful break, which we call the intermission. But if you want to check it out, if you want to check out like more about what my clients actually do on a break, I have a free gift. It is a list of 45 of the coolest things my clients have done on their break. And it is so fun. Some of them are really big, some of them are not big. They're super accessible, but it's 45 of the most inspiring things I have seen my clients do over the years. So if you're like, what could a break really look like? Or, what do Katrina's clients actually do when they're on a break? You can discover that with the list. And then of course, if you want to know the secrets, get the book. Like it's a great place to start. I bring that to life in my coaching, but everything I could teach you is in that book. And it gives you a really good understanding of, what a break could look like so that you can maybe have confidence that it's something you can create, or you can figure out what pieces are missing and what you need to focus on to actually make that break happen. And that book is Taking a Career Break for Dummies. So you can find that at thecareerbreakbook.com or on Amazon, where you find literally every other book I think that's ever been written.
Oh, Katrina, thank you so much for this. And thank you for that wonderful freebie for our listeners. Guys, listen, if you truly like, if you've never even considered a break, like sign up for this and at least see what's out there. Cause truly, I think that when we're like I'll just say the 4 walls of our career, and if you are someone that's like working a ton of hours, you don't even realize what's out there until you have the time and the capacity to see it. And that was one of the things that I would say is like one of my regrets of my 18 years of corporate is not realizing what was out there, and being so loyal to what was happening there that I gave up so much more. So yes, thank you for that.
You're so welcome, Amanda. And I just love your energy. I think what you're doing is really special in this world. And there's obviously a lot of overlap in our philosophies and what we're trying to help people do. So I just really enjoy like hanging out with you today and having a conversation about this, because I do believe the stigma is breaking. I think things are changing, and I'm here to help people give themselves permission and find a way, create that plan to take a life-changing break, because they are so amazing and so necessary.
Yes, yes. Oh, thank you so much for your time today and everything that you've offered, to folks. All of like the gold nuggets on here are just truly amazing. So thank you for all of that. And I'm sure that we could, come up with some more episodes in the future. That's for sure.
I feel, yeah, if they write it with questions and somebody asks a follow-up question, we'll have to do an
Yeah,
episode on it or something
absolutely.
fun.
So
Yeah.
everyone on Spotify, make sure you're dropping in some stuff, and I'll drop our emails as well, and you guys can reach out to us. And if there's any questions, we would love to do a follow-up episode.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So, are you ready to start your own corporate detox journey? Well, if you are, make sure that you check out amandamccorder.net for different ways to work with me, as well as some freebies that could help you get started. If you're on social media, follow me at Amanda K. McCorder on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.